Good evening. Before I call this meeting to order, there's something I'd like to share with everyone. This coming Saturday is September 11th. On that day, 20 years ago, our nation was attacked by terrorists and our world was changed forever. Those of us who were alive that day vividly remember where we were and how we felt when we learned of the plane crashes into the World Trade Center and subsequent collapses of the buildings, the plane crash into the Pentagon, and plane crash in the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. We remember the fear that gripped our nation, not knowing what might happen next, as well as the resolve to move forward and do whatever needed to be done. Whether one attends a remembrance ceremony or chooses a silent moment of reflection, I hope we all take time to remember the innocent civilians, the first responders, the members of the military who lost their lives that day, as well as the brave servicemen and women who lost their lives in the war on terror. Please keep them and their families in your thoughts and prayers. And at this time, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. With that, I call this meeting of the Arlington Heights Village Board of Trustees to order on September 8th, 2021. Would you all please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bertucci?
Here.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Here.
Trustee Grasse?
Here.
Trustee Scaletta?
Here.
Trustee Baldino?
Here.
Trustee Canty?
Here.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Here. There are 3 sets of minutes to be considered for approval tonight. The first set of minutes are for approval are for the Village Board meeting of July 21st, 2021.
Move approval.
Second.
No, I gather there's no revisions or anything like that. Trustee Tenaglia?
I have to pass.
Thank you. So it was a approval by Trustee Scaletta and seconded by Trustee Baldino.
No, Trustee Canty, I have to pass as well.
Oh, you have to pass as
Yes.
well. Okay, thank you. So it's seconded by Trustee Grasse. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That's approved. The motion carries. All right. The second set of minutes is for the Committee of the Whole meeting on August 16, 2021. Any trustees have any revisions to the minutes? Anybody wish to pass? Trustee Scaletta?
Pass.
Pass.
Move approval.
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Baldino and seconded by Trustee Tinaglia. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Village Board, the third set is the Village Board meeting from August 16, 2021. Any trustees have any revisions to the minutes? Anybody wish to pass on those minutes?
Pass.
Trustee Scaletta and Trustee Bertucci pass?
Yep.
Thank you. Motion to approve
Move
So
approval.
moved.
by Trustee Canty and second by Trustee Tinaglia. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries too. All righty, moving right along. Our next item is the accounts payable, and with that, I call on Trustee Bertucci to present the accounts payable.
I will move approval of the warrant register dated August 30th, 2021 in the amount of $4,347,752.77.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Canty. Any discussion, any from the members of the board? Any discussion from members of the audience? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Canty?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Yes. Thank you. And next, we're going to move on to recognitions and presentations, and this is a really awesome one. Before I go on here. On August 20th, 2021, the Arlington Heights Police Department was presented with 5 first place awards, count them 5, for the 2020-2021 Illinois Traffic Safety Challenge. I will be letting Chief Pecora discuss them, but I do want to say that the Village of Arlington Heights continually strives to ensure our residents, businesses, and visitors enjoy a safe community. Roadway safety is a focus, and one of the police department's missions is to reduce traffic accidents. The awards presented this evening support the village's commitment and ongoing effort to make the roads safer for drivers and pedestrians. So with that, if Chief Pecora and Mr. Paul Rizzo come forward, and I'll join y'all down.
While you're making your way down here, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem LaBedz and members of the board. It's a privilege for the police department to be here, and thank you for the time on your busy agenda. It takes a team to win recognition like this, and although it's a mission of the police department, there's a nucleus to the team. I'd like to introduce the team. To my immediate right is Deputy Chief Greg Zernicki, Commander Ed Commerce, Officer Dave Lavin, Officer Jeff Aiello, and Sergeant Russ Mandel. That's the nucleus of the team that made this happen. I'd like to introduce Mr. Paul Rizzo, the co-director of the Illinois Traffic Safety Challenge, to make the presentation.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, President Pro Tem, members of the trustees, and other guests in the audience. The Illinois Traffic Safety Challenge is a recognition program run by the Illinois Chiefs. Can I take this off? Thank you. And partially funded by a grant from NHTSA, which comes through the Department of Transportation, which is where we come in. In brief, the program allows agencies to show their performance in 6 areas: policies and procedures, training, recognition of officers and citizens, enforcement, and effectiveness. And effectiveness is really where the meat of the program is. This is not a Toasters for Tickets program. You need to show how your efforts impact your community. And obviously, as we can see, the Arlington Heights Police Department did very well this year. As a matter of fact, some of the other agencies want performance-enhancing drug tests so that they have a chance next year. If I may?
Yeah, please come.
The Judges Award, this is the best of the best. All first place category winners are put into a pool, and the Traffic Safety Committee will award the agency with the best program. However, not only did the police department win the Judges Award, they were first place in their category. They won the Occupant Protection Safety Award, which obviously is focused on occupant protection, speed awareness, and distracted driving. So out of all the awards we presented on that day, 5 of the awards went to the Arlington Heights Police Department. We have never had that happen before with so many people.
That's really terrific. Thank you very much. Chief Pecora, if you would come forward and bring the members of your team. As we always say, the Village of Arlington Heights is second to none, and certainly our police department is second to none, and this is just more of the proof.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Would you like to say anything?
I think we're good. I think Mr. Rizzo
Okay.
I don't want to take up any more of your time.
Okay. Do you want us to maybe would be behind here?
Come on, Paul.
Yeah, please. Thank you. And they'll be displayed in the police. Great. Great. Thank you very much, all of you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It appears I may have missed our roll call.
No.
No? No?
No.
Okay. Okay, we're fine. Thank you, though. Appreciate all the help I can get. Next on the agenda are public hearings, and there are no public hearings for this evening. So next we move on to citizens to be heard, and I'm not aware, I've not received any blue cards. Becky?
Nor
No?
have I.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to old business, of which we have none. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. So any trustees want to recuse themselves from any item on the consent agenda? Any trustee want an item to be removed from the consent agenda? Any members of the audience who wishes to remove an item from the consent agenda? Melissa, would you state your name, please?
Melissa Kayer, consent legal A.
That's remove consent legal A.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And so we'll be moving that to take up later under legal. Is that correct, Manager? Or thank you, Mr. Passman. Thank you. Okay, and then I'll take a motion on all the matters, the consent agenda, excluding the one that's been removed.
Approval?
Second?
So motion made by Trustee Baldino, seconded by Trustee Canty. Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
Trustee Canty?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Yes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of bids, and there are no bids to be considered for approval this evening. So we will move on to new business. And the first item of new business concerns a comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning for the Ridgeline Rorman development at 1100 and 1400 West Dundee Road. Is the petitioner present? Thank you. Please come forward and, if you would, present your project.
Great, thank you. Let's see here. Make sure this works. All right, great. Good evening. My name is Ben Harris with Ridgeline Property Group. I'm here to present to you Northwest Gateway Center. Excited to be here tonight because it's been 9 months in the making. We have a lot to cover tonight. I'm going to go over the key features for this project that's inclusive of stormwater management, car and truck access, parking at 10% office space, landscaping plan, forecasted property taxes, sustainable design features, projected tenants for the Northwest Gateway Center, and the changes made to the Lexus dealership. Before we go on the project, let's talk about my company, Ridgeline Property Group. We are a privately held national industrial development firm. We have 125 years of industrial combined experience. We've developed over 130 million square feet across the country. We're active in 12 markets in the U.S. with 7 million square feet under development today. We have 6 offices. Our headquarters is in Atlanta. Then we have an office in Washington, D.C., Chicago, which I oversee, Dallas, Houston, and Northern California. This gives you a pictorial depiction of the various states that we've developed in, highlighted in blue. And a big part of our business is build-to-suit. So 60% of our business is doing build-to-suits for Fortune 1000 companies such as Amazon, Glovis, DHL, Kia, GE, Williams-Sonoma, Samsung, et cetera. Big name companies that we travel around the U.S. to build industrial or office buildings for. This is a very complex project, and so we made sure to hire the best-in-class development partners for this project. And that's inclusive of Ware Malcolm as our architect, Pinnacle Engineering as our civil engineer, FCL Builders as our general contractor, KLOA is our traffic study consultant. Liston and Santillis is our land use and property tax attorney. There are two groups that are not on this list, but I want to mention first is the village staff of Arlington Heights. It's been a pleasure working with Charles and Sam on this project. And I know I would not be here today if it wasn't for their help and their guidance on this project. Additionally, the Rohrman group, the Rohrman family. We've been lockstep on this project since day one, and it's been a team effort to get here tonight. So the goals for tonight. First, preliminary plat subdivision approval from 2 lots to 3. So the 3 lots that we'll be talking about, in red is the Ridgeline development, in green, Lexus dealership, and the changes made, and purple is the Nissan dealership. 2, planned unit development approval for the following development of 2 buildings that Ridgeline proposes to build for 511,000 square feet, and the modification to the Lexus building and parking areas. 3, rezoning of a portion of the proposed Lot 1 red from B3 to M1, so my development conforms with the zoning. And then for number 4, rezone the proposed Lexus lot from M1 to B3. That's in front of Dundee. And then there are variations of the municipal code to allow certain parking spaces with direct access to a drive aisle. All right, so we need key industrial development. There's a few features that are must-haves. It's access, circulation, parking, and flexible leasing design, and this project has it all. So it's 2 buildings. Building 1 is 205,000 square feet. Building 2 is 306,000 square feet. We've incorporated a modern aesthetic design of the project. We have 5 points of access and 1 emergency access road. We have a truck drive aisle access road that will connect Wilkie Road to Building 2. We have above standard car parking at 599 total car stalls, and that's at a 1.17 per thousand car parking. We've included heavy landscaping and significant setbacks to show the truck courts. And then the design is really set for maximum lease flexibility because Building 1 and Building 2 are really 2 different buildings, which we'll go over in this presentation. Going to Building 1, we'll touch upon some of the key specs. So 205,000 square foot building, the clear height is 32 feet, so that's the lowest point in the warehouse. You have 288 car stalls, which equates to 1.4 per thousand car parking, which is huge for these smaller buildings, as we're seeing more tenants have greater office space needs and more car parking needs. Dock positions at 45 and drive-in doors at 5. When you go to the key highlights, we'll start west, work our way at Wilkie. So there's 3 access points. The first access point is utilizing the traffic signal, which was a byproduct of us working with village staff and their suggestion for us to incorporate that, and us working with Rohrman to get an access easement for us to go over their property and have cars go over their property to connect to the parking lot for Building 1. Then you go further north on Wilkie, you have the second car access point, and then you have the truck access point where you'll see that we have exit signage for left turn only that will be placed in that location. The big key feature to this project really is the truck court. So when you look at truck courts for industrial properties, it's typically between 125 to 135 feet, depending on the type of building and the location, if it's infill or if it's a big distribution facility. So what we did was we worked with Rohrman to acquire more land, shift that building down. So you have a 125-foot truck court for Building 1, but the total depth of that truck court is 156 feet. So what that's doing is it's giving us a drive aisle of 31 feet for trucks to utilize from Wilkie Road to Building 2. And the goal of that, which I'll show later on, is to alleviate congestion on Kennecott. Other key features are 3 office entrances for this building, and then you'll see the wraparound car parking around the building, just maximizing car parking and access to those entrances. Going over some of the key features of the building, we're really incorporating a modern tech-fill design for this project. So this is the west entrance of Building 1, closest to Wilkie. And you'll see what we have is the blue lap panels to show that this is the key entrance to the project. You have 2 stories of glazing, and then you have storefront retail windows in the front underneath the black canopy that's 12 feet high and floor-to-ceiling windows to really show that this is a prominent location, a prominent entrance for the building. Additionally, you'll see around the windows lines, it's texture in the precast panels to give it a softer look. And then we have the window lines recessed back a bit with black metal framing just to give it a more modern tech feel to the project. You'll also see, as you look around the building, that some of the panels are in and out to give the building depth for the project. And we also have clear story windows to give sunlight into the warehouse space. When you look at the elevation, I want to go on the top piece. I know it's hard to see, and I'll do my best, but there are 3 entrances, the west, the center, and then the east. There is a 4th blue lap panel system, and what that has is knockout panels, precast knockout panels, in case there is a 4th tenant. What we want to do is keep the symmetry and the design of the project where that's where we would see the tenants going in that location if there happens to be a 4th tenant for the project. And then the office space on the east is facing east because there's just more parking in that direction for that tenant for that office space. Going to building 2, key specs, so it's a 306,000 square foot building, a clear height of 36 feet, car parks at 311, at a parking ratio of 1 per 1,000. Trailer stalls at 65, 47 dock positions, and 4 drive-in doors. So when you look at, we'll start top, you'll see where that red access road is coming from Wilkie into building 2 for trucks to utilize and access the truck court. You have a 30-foot wide wraparound road that's highlighted in orange. What that does is it gives trucks great circulation to move around the building. You have a 30-foot wide access road to Kennecott as well for both cars and trucks to utilize. We're going heavy on car parking, and so we even land-baked 40 additional stalls to the north. Again, a feature that was suggested by village staff. We have the emergency vehicle access north of the Curtis Wright building, going further down south. Again, the access road leads to Kennecott, and there is an existing median today for exit right turn only. Then you look at car-only access easement to Dundee. And so we'll go and I'll show a better picture of this, but that's where cars will utilize the right in, right out on Dundee, again, to alleviate congestion or traffic on Kennecott. We have proposing 2 entrances on the corners of the building. Let's see, last thing is the car parking. The way it's set up is 2 trays of car parking that's creating a more institutional office look and feel, which you'll see in this picture where you have the depth of the parking lot that just kind of gives it a stronger institutional feel, office feel for the project. Same designs as building 1. The key feature here, though, is again, if you look down the line, you'll see that there's two blue squares. Again, if that goes from, say, a 1 or 2 tenant building, goes to 3 or 4, you keep the symmetry of the designs with the building for this project, which again is highlighted in this elevation at the top here, where you can see the 2 inches on the corners and the ability to have 2 other tenants there with those knockout panels in the middle of those blue lap panels. Going to stormwater management, typically you'll see surface detention for developments, but not this one. And the key reason is because the Roman Group built a massive underground stormwater vault for this project. The first thing that we did was to understand the capacity of that vault and to see if it could service our project, the Lexus dealership, and the Nissan dealership. And it can. What we are doing is we are putting in 2 underground infiltration systems that's highlighted in green. And so what that does is that creates volume control to the stormwater vault. So what we do is in the brown or orangish brown, you have water coming from the parking lots to the 2 infiltration systems. And then the dark blue, blackish arrows are water coming from the drains from the roof to the infiltration system. That system is a corrugated metal pipe, and then you have rock, sand, and gravel surrounded by the pipes. Again, it's infiltration, clean the water, volume control, which goes to the underground stormwater vault. and then it will be time released north to the detention pond that's north of the property. We took to heart in talking to some of the residents about their concerns of traffic congestion on Kennecott. And really there's two key features that will help alleviate some of that congestion. First one that we talked about in depth is that 31-foot drive aisle north of Building 1. Again, we see trucks using that path to Building 2 because you have less turns. When you look at trucks, will mainly be coming from 53. It will be 3 turns to get to the Building 2 truck court, left on Wilkie, right on the truck court, right in the drive aisle, right in the truck court, where trucks would go left on Kennecott, left into the main section, right, left, and left again. So it's 3 versus 5 turns, and trucks like to take the path of least resistance. Additionally, we've working with village staff and working with Rohrman, we created that car-only access easement that will go west of the Nissan dealership and utilize the right-in, right-out on a Dundee. The majority of cars coming to this project will be from 53. So going from and going to will be on 53. So at night, we see the majority of the cars utilizing that car access easement to get to Dundee and to 53. This gives you a greater depiction of how we foresee the traffic flow on the project. So the orange represents the car circulation, and the green represents the truck circulation. And again, it just shows you how we foresee the project being utilized. Just quickly, you see we'll start on west, the 2 car access points at Building 1 in orange. In green, the truck access point using for both Building 1 and Building 2. Then you have on Kennecott, the main entrance that are both cars and truck access. You have the full circulation around Building 2, and then you have the car-only access right in, right out on a Dundee. And again, you have the existing median on Kennecott for right out only. So key, when doing developments, you want to have maximum amenities. And for this particular project, we really focused around an abundance of car parking. The big reason is that we're seeing more car parking, where you're seeing a convergence of asset classes of both office and industrial combining together. So you're seeing a higher office percentage, where typically you would see 5 to 7% office space. Now we're seeing 10%. And so what we're doing here is running a test fit on this project, utilizing the codes of Arlington Heights, the parking requirement codes. And so when you look at this graph, the 3 key areas to look at are: 1, the total number of parking spaces required at 10% office space is needed as 444 car stalls. We're providing 599 car stalls. Plus, we have a parking easement for the Curtis Wright building. So take out 40 stalls that we will be providing to Curtis Wright. So we'll have a surplus of 115 car stalls. So it's great news that we passed that test fit, that we can accommodate users that have the higher office percentage by over 115 car stalls. And just to give you just some measures too, when you look at what is market standard, 1 per 1,000 car parking. We're at 1.17 per 1,000 car parking. It might not seem a lot, but that's 87 additional stalls. So you have 87 additional stalls to market. You have 115 stalls above the 10% test fit need, which is 25% above the village code requirement. And we still have the 40 additional land bank stalls north of Building 2. We took landscaping seriously, and you'll see that we have over 320 trees planned for this project. The majority of those trees are set on the north of the project to shield the truck courts of Building 1 and Building 2, and also call it the southeast, but southwest of Building 2, where it fronts Dundee, where we put a ton of trees there as well. And this slide will show that, where this is that corner that's in front of Dundee and shielding away the truck court for Building 2. So what we have is an 8-foot berm wall. And then we are planting deciduous trees, ornamental trees, evergreen trees, and then also I call it autumn fantasy trees as well to really shield that truck court. And this next slide gives you a depiction of what the view from Dundee to that truck court. So you can see the raised berm wall, you can see the trees that are shielding the truck court of Building 2 from Dundee. So for forecasted property taxes, we are applying for a 6B because this development is in Cook County. So what my land use attorney, Listen Santillas, ran is a 12-year scenario analysis. So with the current Honeywell building, over 12 years, you'll kick off $9 million in property taxes. With our development, we'll kick off $21 million for increased taxes paid of $11.9 million. Additionally, when working with Michael at Arlington Heights, we agreed to remit 10% of the Class B tax savings to the village of Arlington Heights for 5 years. So at 100% savings, you're at $2.3 million. At 90%, you're at $2.1 million. So we're forecasted to paying roughly $230,000 per year for the first 5 years that will go to small business economic development for Arlington Heights. So in total, we're looking at $13.1 million of real estate taxes generated for this community with this development over that 12-year term. Key sustainable design features include energy-efficient LED lighting, collection and return of rainwater through underground infiltration, day lighting via clear-story windows, provided bicycle parking, recycled construction material and demolition waste, insulated low-E tinted glazing, low VOC paints, and because it's an infill redevelopment site, it has close proximity to residents, reducing travel distances. When evaluating the market for tenants, these are the groups that we foresee for this project: light manufacturing and device assembly for life science-related companies, pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and medical, retail distribution for consumer goods, beauty supplies, pet supplies, clothing, and home goods. You're seeing a number of international companies along the I-90 corridor who are looking for a combination of showroom, manufacturing, warehousing space that has direct access to O'Hare Airport. Distribution of home and office interior goods. Advanced manufacturing for high-tech industries in aeronautics and robotics. And of course, e-commerce, last-mile delivery for a wide array of goods for both B2C and B2B. These next two slides show tenants in the marketplace today that are looking to be in this corridor. So you have Home Depot for retail distribution. This is for consumers who are buying goods online and then getting delivered to their homes. Siemens, light manufacturing, distribution, related services that are looking for a combination of office, showroom, manufacturing. Abbott, light manufacturing for pharmaceutical preparation. We're talking about masks, syringes, things of that nature. Sonoco, light manufacturing of global packaging solutions. Stern Pinball, an office, showroom, manufacturing for pinball machines. Flender, Rittal, Ingram, GE Healthcare, Gerflor, Federal Signal. These are all companies today that are Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies that are looking to be along this corridor that would be a great fit for this project. So the key highlights for the Lexus dealership: first, they're going to demolish the Motorola building at 75,000 square feet. That's going to help create the additional 118 parking stalls they need to showcase their inventory. And then they're providing the easement access that we discussed earlier for across the Lexus lot to Building 1, so cars can access the Building 1 parking lot. So in summary, this is a Class A development. It's investment grade. It has high aesthetic design. It's built for a long-term lifespan. We have maximum amenities, and it's carefully planned to attract a strong credit tenant base for this project and for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Appreciate your very thorough presentation.
I know it's a lot, so I hope you guys are able to digest it.
Well, and we also were able to review material that was provided that was posted on the agenda too, but it's also good to see in person. So thank you for that. And thank you for your kind words about working with staff. We really appreciate that.
It's been great. It's been a team effort. Thank you.
That's great. Mr. Perkins, do you have anything to add?
I'll just briefly go over some of the zoning actions and a couple items that came up at the Plan Commission. I'll just switch presentation quickly. So I just want to talk a little bit about the history of the site and the zoning and what they're asking for. So they are requesting a subdivision. This would be Lot 1 that's highlighted in red. Lot 3 is on the frontage along Dundee Road, just in front of the old Honeywell manufacturing facility. And then Lot 2 is the Lexus dealership. Talking about zoning, the existing zoning, this graphic shows the red, which is the B3 zoning district, which is primarily an automotive-related zoning district. And then the purple is the existing M1 manufacturing district. And prior to 2007, the entire site was zoned for manufacturing. So in 2007, the Roman Auto Group came forward and presented their plan for a four car dealership development on the site, and the area in red was then rezoned from manufacturing to the B3 commercial. The Lexus dealership and the Nissan dealerships were built. Market changed and situations changed. The other two dealerships were not able to be built. And in the meantime, the Honeywell site, which is the Honeywell building, is about 360,000 square feet, is vacant. And if you've been to the building and been around the site in the back of the building, you know, it's pretty distressed. This site needs to be redeveloped. It's a great location right next to 53 for manufacturing. In the past, for probably the past 10 years, we've developed our own site plans, sent them to major big box retailers, and we've had some nibbles, but nobody's wanted to move forward with a big box retailer at this location. In addition, this shows the proposed rezoning. So I'll just go back. This is existing today, showing the B3 primarily in the back and the M1 in the front. And the proposed zoning, it basically flips that. The other thing I'd like to point out is that, you know, the current square footage on the property that's going to be demolished is the 361,000 square foot vacant Honeywell building, and then about 75,000 square feet this area here and the bridge that connects the two buildings. It's called on the slide the Motorola building. I think Motorola was in there at one point, Honeywell before that. In its heyday, Honeywell had about 4,000 employees on this site, so it did generate a lot of traffic from the property. Mr. Harris talked a lot about traffic circulation, and there were some comments from residents in the neighborhood concerned about potential cut-through traffic, especially going east out of the Kennicott driveway and along Hatfield. So I did communicate with the police department and engineering division this afternoon, and the village does have a Chapter 18, which is a code that restricts and limits the weight of vehicles on our streets. It doesn't limit them on state or county streets. So on Hatfield Street, the limit could not exceed 12,000 pounds. For reference, a typical articulated truck or truck trailer is typically in the 30,000 pound plus range. So those trucks and articulated truck trailers and even dump trucks, for example, would not be allowed to travel on our local streets. And there are truck routes, and the truck routes in this area are Dundee Road, Route 53, Arlington Heights Road, and the Wilkie Road, frontage road, is also a truck route. They are proposing signage at the Wilkie exit to limit northbound movements out of that north site. That will have to be monitored. It may be possible, or that there could be some cut-through traffic there, and there may be after physical modifications made to that particular entrance or exit in the future. There are a number of conditions that staff and the Plan Commission recommended. They're in your packet. I won't go through them. They deal with repealing some past conditions that are no longer applicable on the site, requiring the final plat of subdivision, and also requiring all the cross-access easements and restrictive covenants to be addressed prior to that final approval. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. I just want to go through those points very quickly.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perkins. Before I turn it over to the other board members, Mr. Harris, I do have a question for you, if you wouldn't mind coming back. I imagine others might have questions too. And I was just curious, not being in the development business like this, because when you build something like this on spec, how long does it take to get your tenants?
Sure, so that's a great question. So it depends where you're at in the cycle. And so it could be, I could have this pre-leased. It could take, I've underwritten this for an 18-month lease up. I don't see it being more than 18 months. I can tell you right now, and they can speak better to my brokers are here as well about the market conditions, but we're at the lowest vacancy rate, historical vacancy rate in Chicago for industrial product. And I've had multiple phone calls from brokers asking about this development because they have users looking for both these buildings to take the whole building itself. So I speculate that it would be significant demand once it goes out, that assuming we get approval for this project.
And how long do you expect it to take to build it out?
Yeah, so because we live in Chicago in these lovely winters, I won't be able to start till, I will start demolition hopefully before the end of the year, and then really start groundwork in April of next year. And then looking for completion of December of 2022.
Thank you. Questions from other board members? Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Charles, I got a couple questions for you. So you were talking about the weight of the trucks and on the local access roads. Where will the trucks enter and exit the property during construction?
That's a good question. We do have a condition that requires all truck access to be from Wilkie, from Dundee Road via Wilkie and via Kennecott. So even for construction, they could still only access, Dundee Road to Wilkie and into the site, or Kennecott from Dundee Road, Kennecott and into the site.
Okay. And you talked about if there was problems with cut-through traffic, that we would have to make some changes. Do we have any controls in place to get the petitioner to comply?
That's also a good question. So there are some things that the village already has control over, with signage on our own right-of-way, Kennecott and Hatfield, and it may require some additional signage on Kennecott for vehicles exiting the driveway, this particular driveway here. So engineering took a look at that, and they recommended might be a need for an additional sign across the street as trucks exit, saying truck traffic right turn only, and then also an additional sign, right on the private property, before they exit. And then, we do have enforcement, capabilities of any truck over 12,000 pounds on Kennecott or Hatfield. So, those streets, there were some concerns about cut through of trucks from some residents, certainly valid. It is much more circuitous for a truck to go that route. If they're going north, it would make no sense for them to try to go north on Kennecott, on Hatfield, and then try to go across 2 lanes of traffic at Arlington Heights Road without a signalized intersection. It's much easier to make those turns at signalized intersections. So while there could be some cut-through traffic, I think the ordinance we have on the books allows the police to enforce that if that were to be the case. Potentially that right turn, that there's a mountable median at that exit that tries to encourage vehicles to turn right. Potentially that may have to be rebuilt and make it more difficult to go over that mountable median if it would become an ongoing problem. The same with the Wilkie Road. I don't know whether, Mike, do you know if that's a Cook County frontage road at that point, or is that ours? That's ours. So that's ours as well. So then we could limit that as well with the 12,000 pound restriction on the ordinance. Again, if it became too much of a problem, we would be looking to the developer to make physical improvements to restrict that movement. There isn't a condition requiring that as proposed. Certainly, we could craft one and add that, and I've got some ideas of language if that was a desire of the board.
Okay. So we received an awful lot of information, and between staff and the commissions, they did a lot of heavy lifting through this whole process. And I think they brought us a project that is ready to be approved. But I wanted to kind of understand. So when you talk about additional signs being put up, who would be responsible for putting up the signs?
Any additional signs needed on the private property would be the developer's responsibility. Any additional signs on public right-of-way would be typically fabricated and installed by a Public Works Department. And those signs have to follow the standard, IDOT signage criteria.
I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Hirsch. Thank you for deciding to redevelop this area. I think that it's an exciting project, and trying to redevelop the existing buildings that are there, I think is a great thing, and I think that this area of Arlington Heights, as you can see, even just across the street, has a lot of Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 businesses located there, and so you'll be in good company. Do you agree to the 11 conditions that have been proposed?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any plans to come forward with any other further variations?
No.
I'm supportive of the project as is. I have no other questions.
Thank you. Trustee Tinaglia?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I too think this is a wonderful project. And by the way, a really great presentation.
Thank you.
Graphically articulate, really well done. I applaud you and your team. Is there a site plan that we can see that shows what's there now in a more clear way without all the new stuff on top of it?
Probably. There you go.
Okay, so Charles, do you have a pointer that you can put on
Use
that?
the mouse.
Okay, great. Is that where right now where your pointer is that's not a building back there, is it?
No,
No.
that's the underground detention vault. It's about
That's what I
30
was
odd
getting
feet
at.
deep.
Okay, so you're going to tap into that with these two filtration systems that were in the green that you had on your
Right.
presentation?
So the capacity of that tank, it's massive, and really that was designed when Rohrman had actually planned other buildings along Wilkie. They had other dealerships planned, so it had a significant amount of extra capacity. And so the first thing we did was we worked with my civil engineer with Pinnacle Engineering, working with Village and working with MWRD to understand the loads of that tank. And so, per the requirements of MWRD, you have to have infiltration now for water. It can't go directly into that vault. It has to go through an infiltration system and then to that vault. So that's what we have planned.
Right. And my only concern, my question to the civil crew, and maybe Mike, you've got massive heavy rigs that are going to be driving right on top of that.
So, yes, and you are correct, and that's why this project got paused, because we got structural drawings of the loads of that vault.
Yeah.
And that vault was designed and is right now for only cars. So we're spending several $1 million to improve.
Or reinforce it.
Yeah, to reinforce that vault. Yeah, so
I
yeah.
guessed that.
But
I was hoping you didn't have to, but my thought was there's no way they designed that vault
you're 100% correct,
to
and that's
handle what you're
why
gonna put on top of it.
we engaged one of the top structural engineers in Chicago to figure out the best optimal solution that would support trucks, which we have. And so part of this redevelopment is ripping off the existing top and then reinforcing that, and then putting on precast LOTs on top of that to support the load. So precast LOTs are what you see in parking garages.
Yeah.
But so work with the structural engineer that will support the truckloads, that will go over that.
And a bridge over it.
Basically, I'm building a bridge.
Yeah. And that vault is deep enough already. You're not going to lose much capacity by
No.
cutting off the
Nope.
top and doing that.
No, we did the calcs and we still have plenty of reserve capacity.
All right. I don't mean to get into the weeds on this thing. I know.
No, it's a great question.
I thought that's something that I know how expensive these things can be. You used the word millions. right?
Yes.
So everyone in this room understands, just for this one seemingly small item, how many millions are we talking?
Over
$4
4
million just to improve this stormwater detention facility, not including your filtration systems that you're adding on here, just to improve that one,
Correct.
right? Nothing else with the project, just that. So it's a massive commitment. That was all I had. I wanted to make sure we understood what was happening there.
Sure.
And again, thanks for coming. Thanks for all that you're doing, and to the Rorman Group as well, supporting this.
Yeah.
This is a good way to rebirth this area. So real happy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Canty?
I just wanted to echo my colleagues' points that they've made. I think it's really exciting that you can take a property that looks this way and so clearly envision something new and different that could be used with the space. And thinking of Arlington Heights, when you don't even have the tenants yet, and the excitement that you think you can bring to that, I think is really neat. And I'm also supportive of this project.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Trustee Schwingbeck had his hand up
Thank you,
before.
Mayor Pro Tem. Just a very quick logistics question. It's
Sure.
a great project. Again, great job, and a phenomenal-looking project. I know you say in here that the Ridgeline Property Group has been working with Bob Rorman
Yes.
to submit this project.
Yes.
Is Bob Rorman involved at all in the ownership of all that property?
No. No. So I'm buying the property from the Rorman Group, from the Rorman family.
Right.
But when I say a team, this is a plan unit development. And so we're submitting this as one package. And really, in order for it to unlock this site, I have to be granted access easements
Right.
to this site, which they're so willing to provide. Without those access easements, I'm not sure if I'd be here tonight.
Right.
So it's really, when I say a partnership, that's what that entails.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were joint owners as well, so thank you.
Yep.
Trustee Baldino, you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you for your presentation and your commitment to Arlington Heights, and thank you to everyone that's involved for bringing this great project before us. I had 3 questions, one of which was asked and answered by Trustee Scaletta, one was sort of asked by Trustee Tinaglia, but it was answered anyway, and so the last one may seem a little trivial, but you talked about the surplus of parking at the site because of the combination of office and warehouse space. Is there any concern at all about showrooms having an impact on that surplus of parking? I know there's a lot of extra spots, but is there the potential for congestion because of the showroom environment that may
No,
end up
I
at
think
the site?
the way you look at our showroom is where a great example is before I came to Ridgeline, I was at Connor Commercial. That's the development arm of McShane Companies. And if you go on I-90 heading northwest, as you go through Hoffman Estates, you'll see a building called Bystronic. It's right on the freeway. And so that is a combination of showroom, manufacturing, office, and warehouse distribution. And so that massive curtain wall, the glass line, that's the showroom. And really it's bringing their clients. So we're talking a few cars.
Okay.
We're not talking about a ton of consumers there. We're talking about businesses to show off their business or their product line in that showroom.
Great. That was the essence of my question. I, too, am very supportive of this project, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Trustee Bertucci.
Again, I'll echo everybody else in thanking you for investing in Arlington Heights. My question, Charles, just a comment. If you're doing signage at Kennicott and Hatfield, and based on your scenario, I do understand that Arlington Heights Road and Hatfield does not have a light. But if, there could be concerns of coming south on Arlington Heights Road and the temptation to make a right onto Hatfield and then come in. So if you're doing signage, I don't know if you mentioned it, but I didn't hear you mention putting the signage at Arlington Heights Road and Hatfield also. so that they don't take that right turn in and try to sneak in that way.
Yeah, I think we'd have to, look at that once the building's up and operating and we see how it's working. We don't want to sign if it's not needed,
No,
for example.
true.
But that certainly, that would be the biggest area of concern probably for cut-through would be any southbound from Arlington Heights Road. Majority of the truck traffic is going to be coming from, 53, whether it's north or south. That's by far the fastest and easiest route for the trucks to get access to this site. And while I'm talking, there was one point of clarification, if I could, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Harris referenced the Class 6B
Yes.
application. That is not on the agenda tonight. We have received it. We're reviewing it. We did not want to put it on an agenda until we knew whether the board was going to approve the projects in the first place. So that may be coming forward at a future date.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
What-
Oh,
Go ahead. I was just going to just finish by saying, when we're ready, I'm ready to make a motion to recommend, and I assume that this is the motion that they want us
That's
to.
what's in the,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Trustee Grasse?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harris and staff, for putting this project together. I, too, agree with my colleagues. I think this sounds like a great plan for our village and for all of us combined. I would like to hear a little more. I really appreciate the 320 trees and that plan. I would like to know if you have any other ideas or plans for native plants, just green, more environmental sort of landscaping, or is it really just about the trees right now? Is there anything that you have considered or would consider?
Yeah, so I mean, what you'll see, Charles, can you throw on the, first off, there's not a ton of there's no landscaping for me to reutilize, so this, yeah, it's a massive.
Right.
But what we are doing though is, let me see, fortunately, yeah, so, see between building 1 and building 2, it's about 8 to 10 foot downhill transitional grading slope. And so you have plenty of green space there that we're incorporating with grass and trees and bushes as well. And then along the perimeter of the entire project, again, we're having green space. And then per the codes as well, we need to have parking islands, I think, every 20 spaces with trees and greenery as well. So we're definitely, not only are we hitting the codes, but we are exceeding the codes that required by Village of Arlington Heights to really build a Class A development, but also really kind of just, shield or screen the truck courts as well, but also be environmentally friendly as well for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I, too, am very supportive, and thank you for bringing the business to Arlington Heights. At this time, is there anyone in the office, in the audience, who would like to comment? All right. Seeing none, Trustee Bertucci, you would like to make a motion?
Yes, I'm going to read it. Randy, if I go off track on this motion, let me know.
Sure.
I will move approval of PC number 21-009, an amendment to PUD ordinances number 99-031, number 07-072, and number 09-041 to allow modifications to the approved development plan, including construction of an approximately 511,000 square foot warehouse distribution development and modifications to the Lexus building and parking areas. Preliminary plat of subdivision approval to reschedule the subject property into 3 lots, rezoning of proposed lots 2 and 3 from the M1 zoning district to the B3 zoning district, and of proposed lot 1 from the B3 zoning district to the M1 zoning district, an amendment to the comprehensive plan to reclassify proposed lot 1 from commercial to R&D, manufacturing, warehousing, and the following variation. Chapter 28, Section 10.2-9, access to allow certain parking spaces without direct access to a drive aisle. And then the conditions as noted.
Second.
Second by Trustee Canty. Thank you. So as a motion by trustee Bertucci, second by trustee Canty. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Canty?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Yes. Well, there you go. It's approved. Thank you.
you.
Guess we'll see you again when we have the Class 6B, so thank you very much.
And Mayor Pro Tem, we will have the ordinances at a future meeting to formalize the approval granted tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Passman.
Just want to thank you all for your kind words tonight. There's a lot of hard work that went in this project, and my consultants here with me as well. And everyone in here has been just really helpful, and it's been a teamwork, and Charles and Sam, so thank you so much. It's really been a collectively team effort. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much. And thank you all. We'll move on to our next item, which is Midwest Tattoo. And that's a land variation request. And is the petitioner here? If you'd come forward and state your name.
Hello, my name is Hector Barreiro. I put a presentation. Is there a way that I can put it up on the screen? It's via email. I can email it to them. If not, I can just read it off my phone.
Are you logged in as yourself, or? Yeah, I don't have email access on
Oh.
this.
No, I think unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to do it in real time.
All right, that's fine. I'll just read it off then.
That's fine.
So, my name is Hector. I've been tattooing for 12 years. I had a location in Killdeer that I closed down past July. Prior to that, I've been tattooing in several shops, traveling also. My tattoo range goes down to California, Indiana, and all that, so I tattoo different people in different states. I am looking to get an approval for the land variation in Arlington Heights to open up a tattoo shop, to expand my growing clientele, to teach new people how to tattoo, have some apprentices, and then to also better service my clientele. There were some things that were stated in the last meeting concerning the fact that the stigma of tattooing from the past and how it was usually like the criminals or people that went to jail or minorities or, like low-end people. Throughout the years and now in the 21st century, a lot of those things have changed. And there are many people who have tattoos that have very respectable jobs as far as village people, police officers, firefighters. I tattoo people that have served for the United States, for the Army, for all of that. So that was something that I wanted to get out of there. There was also a comment stated from one of the citizens that if it was going to push minorities, like young kids that are not 18 yet, to get tattoos illegally, which that is something that is not gonna happen because I am doing this properly through the business with the regulations, getting the inspections and all that. And also every person that gets tattooed through me will get, they have to show an ID, they have to get the paperwork, and they have to also answer other health related questions before they get tattooed.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll ask, Mr. Perkins, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just showing the site here. It's on Wilkie Road, just north of Campbell Street. They are proposing 4 rooms within the facility. The Plan Commission did ask for us to reach out to the police department to see what kind of calls, if any, there had been on the other tattoo facility that was approved in the village. That was approved in November of 2020, so it hasn't been there that long. It's on Gulf Road. That particular facility has 3 rooms and 3 artists, and the police department has had no calls for service at that location. We also, after the Plan Commission, reached out to the village of Kildare, where the petitioner has their existing operation, and they've indicated that there are no issues, and the experience with the owner was a very positive one. The owner was described as a gentleman, and they wished that the business would stay in Kildare. So did want to add that as additional information, and then be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Before I turn to the members of the board with questions, I do have a question. And first of all, thank you very much for your interest in opening your business here in Arlington Heights. I took the time to go to the Illinois Department of Public Health website to see how highly regulated
Yes.
the tattoo and body piercing industry is. So I was really quite impressed by that. I do have a question, and it relates to not just body piercings necessarily, but I thought I saw somewhere in the material that you wouldn't do something with somebody under the age of 18. But I misread what I saw, but because I was thinking, what if I've heard sometimes a parent will want to take a child who wants pierced ears, for example, prefers to take them to a tattoo and body piercing artist because they know it's going to be clean and hygienic to do. So is that something that you do or would do, or it doesn't really come up?
Like, if it's like, let's say a baby maybe, or you're talking like a 16, 15-year-old?
Sometimes a young girl, her 12th birthday or something like that.
No, I mean, if it's the parents' concern, it would be. I really don't want to do that because I strictly keep it by the Illinois state law, which is 18 to get tattooed, and then you can get a piercing 17 with a parent. I really don't want to deal with that because, one, it could be a bogus letter. They could be, they can create something that is not accurate or is false, or it can be a family friend, and then I don't want to have issues with the parent or another family member that didn't approve it, and they went behind their backs, and then they did the incident. So that's why I would push away from that. If it's a baby, I mean, I might do it just because it's more better to get a piercing through a needle than with an actual gun like they do at Claire's, I believe, with the piercing guns. It's less traumatic to the skin.
Okay, I see. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that response very much. Trustee Canty?
I'm glad to see you coming to Arlington Heights as somebody with tattoos and someone who had more piercings than you see this evening. I do think that the stigma is wearing off. And I would be one of those parents that prefers to go to a tattoo parlor. My daughter is anxiously awaiting the day when she can get her ears pierced, and I have told her she has to wait until we can find a tattoo parlor because they are more heavily regulated than going somewhere else. But I do thank you for coming to Arlington Heights, for investing in us, and for broadening your business here. And hopefully my daughter will get her ears pierced one day here in town.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Trustee Bertucci?
One of the conditions was, number one, that you would register with the Illinois Department of Public Health as a body shop establishment. And has that been done?
No, I was actually waiting for this meeting for the approval because that's also something I did in Killdeer. So once I file for that application, I have to pay the fee. So I didn't want to count my blessings first and then, lose that and then be like, oh, well, I guess it didn't work out, So yes, that will be done if, from your permission, it's allowed.
Okay. No other questions?
Thank you. Trustee Scaletta?
So thank you. I truly appreciate your answer to President Pro Tem LaBed's question. I think that makes a lot of sense. Protect yourself and take care of the residents of the Village of Arlington Heights. And at this time, I would be willing to concur with the Plan Commission recommendation on July 28th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. So that was a motion by Trustee Scaletta and a second by Trustee Baldino. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Tinaglia?
I want to reiterate what Trustee Scaletta just said. Your answer was right on point, and you brought up a number of points that you could get caught for.
Right.
And so you've been doing this a while.
Yes, sir.
You're a smart man. You're thinking of all the possible snags, and that's great. So I'm an advocate for you. Like Trustee Canty, I've spent some time in the chair.
Yeah, nice.
And it's not really fun, but it is something that I'm proud of, and I'm glad to have you here. So
thank you very much. And that's also a reason why I put tattoo therapy, because I do tattoo a lot of people who cut themselves, they've lost somebody. So it's kind of like an unmorally therapy, I guess you would call it, because, you know, some people feel a lot of pain and they want to express it in a certain way, and that's another way to get it out, and it's also art now, you know, so I just wanted to put that out there, so thank you.
Trustee Grasse.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo my colleagues in appreciation for your wanting to come to Arlington Heights. With my work I do, I find that tattoos can be a very important source of expression of grief and finding meaning, and there's some really good things that come from everything you're doing, and I appreciate you wanting to come to Arlington Heights. Thank you.
Very much.
Anyone in the audience wishing to ask a question or comment? Nope. Okay, then we'll go back to the board, and we had a motion by Trustee Scaletta, second by Trustee Baldino. Thank you. And if the clerk would call the roll.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Grasse,
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia,
Yes.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Yes. Well, there you have it. Unanimous. Now you can go do your registration.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your project. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem LaBedz, this one too, there will be a formal and final ordinance at a future meeting of the board.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Your next item, the text amendments, there is an ordinance in your packet that would be the final action if you're inclined to approve it.
Got it.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Oh, Trustee Scaletta, or Trustee Tinaglia, I'm sorry.
may I ask the petitioner, do you have a time frame on when you'll be opening?
I'm aiming for as soon as possible. So it would just be waiting for the Illinois Department to get approved, and then roughly about a month and a half, if it goes well. Last time when I applied for the Illinois Department inspection in Killdeer, it took them about a month and a half to 2. I don't know if it was because of COVID or whatnot, but I'm gonna try to find a way to push that forward so it can get approved quicker. So aiming for October, end of October, hopefully.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
So, our next item is the Chapter 28 text amendments, and that's from Plan Commission 21-017. Manager Recklaus?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Back in 2018, the Village Board approved a number of amendments. It was a pretty comprehensive review of our zoning regulations. And, you know, at that time, the ordinance is merged with a lot of different aspects of our code, and we have identified some cleanup items that need to be addressed. And Mr. Perkins will go through those very quickly, but essentially this is just some cleanup of that comprehensive review that occurred in 2018.
All right, thank you. Mr. Perkins?
Yes, thank you. There's really 3 areas that I'd just like to touch upon on the proposed cleanup ordinance. The first is, as Mr. Recklaus mentioned, that when the comprehensive amendment to the zoning code took place in 2018, when the ordinance was drafted, the attempt was to consolidate things and make it easier. And in doing that, it left out some of the minimum lot size requirements. They were still in a chart, but not specifically called out. So while we interpreted it the same way, others may not have. We don't have a lot of new subdivisions, so it didn't come to light until fairly recently. So even though, for example, on an R3 lot, a standard lot is 8,700 square feet, and a corner lot is 9,970 feet and 90 feet, respectively. That was still in the code, but somebody could have argued that it didn't say which one was a corner lot. So this cleans that up and puts it back to how it was prior to 2018. The second part was there were 2 sections that were apparently inadvertently added to the R3 section when they shouldn't have been, so those are being removed. And then lastly, there was a definition that was deleted relative to institution residential. And in the permitted use table for institutional districts, there's a listed item as institutional residential. It's allowed as a special use in some of the residential districts, and also as a permitted use in the institutional district.
but there was the definition had been removed, so this, replaces that definition.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any of the trustees? Doesn't look like it. Any questions from the audience? I would then entertain a motion. Trustee Baldino?
Yes, I would move to concur with the recommendation of the Plan Commission from August 25th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. A motion made by Trustee Baldino and seconded by Trustee Schwingbeck. And if the clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Canty?
Yes.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Yes. Thank you all. Now we go to legal, and I think this is where we take up consent legal A. And I guess, Melissa, if you would come forward and explain why you asked to have it removed from the consent agenda?
I wanted to hear more about it.
Okay, thank you. Manager Recklaus, do you have?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. This is a resolution that would put us into compliance with federal requirements for receiving funds, and it essentially establish and formalizes a qualification-based selection policy for certain consultants. And I'll let Mike Pagonis, our village engineer, explain the process a bit more.
Thank you. Mr. Pagonis?
Hi. So this is something that applies only to projects that receive federal funding. The process basically requires us to solicit bids for phase 1 engineering, and this is strictly for engineering work, consultant-based engineering, phase 1 studies, phase 2 plan preparation, phase 3 construction inspection. And the policy basically says we have to go out for bids or for requests for proposals and follow certain steps to get this done. It's not based solely on cost. In fact, the proposals that come in do not have costs associated with them. We look at the qualifications of the firm and then come up with a list of selected consultants that we then negotiate prices with.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Is that sufficient explanation, Melissa? All right, thank you. Trustee Scaletta?
I would move approval of consent legal A, a resolution adopting a qualification-based selection policy and procedure.
Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Baldino. If the clerk would call the roll, please, since this was from the consent agenda.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
Trustee Canty?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
Trustee Grasse?
Yes.
President Pro Tem LaBedz.
Yes, thank you. Randy, a report from the village manager?
Yes, just one item this evening. I did want to note that there will be a joint police fire flag ceremony at Fire Station 1, which is located here on the municipal campus at 300 East Sigmalt Street at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday morning in remembrance of the victims of 9/11. The ceremony will be open to the public for anyone looking for a way to memorialize the day. And again, that'll be at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, right over here at Fire Station 1.
Thank you. We have no appointments tonight, and therefore I'll ask the board members, any petitions or communications? Then I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Trustee Scaletta?
Nice job on your meeting tonight.
Thank you.
I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. It was a motion by Trustee Scaletta and second by Trustee Baldino. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We are adjourned. Good night, everyone.